DJ Killzone Jones, you better remember the name. DJ Killzone Jones, you better remember the name. DJ
Which is probably why they're so good. I mean, I know the producer, and we meet and we talk, but I try to butt out. We have good writers, we have great directors, they know their business, and I'm just lucky they call me for a cameo. I really have very little to do with the movie itself.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Stan. I really just first want to say thank you. And also, after watching the documentary on you, I have nothing but respect and admiration for the relationship that you and your wife have. And I'm a young writer who's married, and I just wanted to ask, how do you manage to keep that relationship so strong?
Stan, how long have you been married?
Yeah, I heard that. I've been married 65 years, but we're still working. Actually, 65 years and 3 months, I think. I don't know. I like her, and I think she likes me. I don't know the answer to that. She's nice.
Thank you. That's all you can ask for.
Secret to happiness, people. Be nice.
Got a bad temper, though.
Hello, Stan. First, I'd like to say thank you for Spider-Man. I mean, it's...
You're welcome.
Thank
you for having me.
For me being able to read it, I really appreciate it. But my question is, it's pretty simple, really. You've been in all the movies. Which one was your favorite cameo?
Which was your favorite cameo in the movies?
Well, I think I got a kick of them, out of them not letting me into the wedding of Reed and Sue. And I kind of like being a librarian while the Spider-Man was fighting behind me. But I gotta tell you, Iron Man 3, when it opens up, I think that's the best and funniest one. Woo! I can't wait to say it. It probes really the depths of my acting ability.
Next.
Mr. Lee, you've practically defined what a superhero is for any generation. Like, you have the young, like a weak person, big, but with a big heart, like Steve Rogers as Captain America. And how exactly do you keep all these characters so grounded?
How do you keep all your amazing characters grounded and so real?
Well, all I did when I wrote them was I tried to think, if this character was a real person, what would his or her life be like? And I thought it would be fun with Peter Parker to make him, you know, teenagers were always sidekicks. There was Bucky for Captain America and Robin for Batman. I thought it would be fun to have a teenager who's a real superhero himself. And then I figured, well, what'll his life be like? I thought it would be nice to make him a guy who didn't have everything working right for him. He didn't have enough money. He didn't have that many girlfriends. And then the ultimate, he thought he was responsible for the death of his uncle. That was too much. But I tried to figure, besides their super qualities, what kind of people are they? What lives do they live? I had mentioned somewhere before, I always wondered, Superman, where did he live? You know, did he live in an apartment, a condo, a house? What was his private life, except for the fact that he liked Lois Lane, and nobody knew who he was when he took off his glasses? I didn't know. So all I tried to do was give all of my superheroes some sort of a private life and something that might worry them or bother them, because everybody has something that worries and bothers them. I'm worried and bothered that I may be talking too long. So I just tried to make them human beings who happen to have superpower also. I hope that answers it.
That was good. That was good.
St. Louis can now add another Stan the Man to be one of their favorite people.
St. Louis. What is your favorite superhero?
I'll take the easy way out. Spider-Man.
Nice.
I hope somebody is taping this so I can show it to my wife. She won't believe it.
I got you.
What first inspired you to start making comic books?
What first inspired you to create comic books?
Greed. No, really. We didn't have much money. It was during the Depression. My father was unemployed, and I had to see if I could make a few bucks. So I had a lot of odd jobs, and then I heard that there was this publishing company, and they were looking for an assistant in one of the departments. I didn't know it was comics. They published a lot of books. They published detective books, men's books, romance books, movie books, and they had this little inky-dink department of comics. So I went up there to apply for a job, and I saw it was in the comic department run by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. And they deserved the applause. And I was just hired to be their assistant. I filled their inkwells. They used pen and ink in those days. And I went down and got them sandwiches, and I did proofreading. Little by little, I started writing because they needed help with the writing. And then something happened, and they left the company. And I was all alone in the department. I was about 17, 18 years old. And the publisher said, "Can you look after things till I hire, a real person?" When you're 17 or 18, what do you know? I said, "Sure, I can take care of it." And he forgot to hire the real person. I've been there ever since. Is that an answer? Again, what was the question?
That was a fabulous answer.
Sometimes I start rambling. You got to stop me.
I don't think anyone's going to stop you from rambling. Anyone? Next question, sir.
Okay, first of all, big fan, really love your character design. But the question is, what do you think is the most overpowered hero you've ever created?
What's the most overpowered hero you've ever created?
Overpowered? You mean who has the most power?
Too much power.
Too much power, maybe.
There ain't no such thing as too much
Yes,
power.
wow.
I don't know. I never thought about it. We have some very powerful ones. Got the Hulk, you got Galactus. I think the Hulk wishes he had more power, and so does Galactus. No, there's no such thing as too much power.
Nice. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks. Mr. Lee, your wife was the voice of Madam Web on the Spider-Man animated series. Is that the way she talks in real life? Is that something she put on?
So your voice was the voice of Madam Web on the Spider series. Is that
No. She's English, and she had, the most beautiful voice. She sounded like Greer Garson, whom none of you remember. No, she's got a gorgeous voice.
So that's not, she doesn't scare people when she talks like that?
She doesn't scare people when she talks?
Well, sometimes she scares me. She's able to say, "Can I go to Neiman Marcus and go shopping?" That's terrifying.
Next question.
I want to be a writer, and I have two questions for you.
One question.
Well, when you were writing comics from 1960, 1970, you had all your heroes, how did you come up with a new villain for each issue?
As you were writing comics in the 60s and 70s, how did you come up with villains for your comics? New villains for the present?
A lot of times I just thought of names of animals. Octopus, lizard. I don't know. I really wish I could answer that intelligently, but I don't know. I would sit down and think, I have a hero who can do this. I have to find a villain who can do things that might really threaten the hero, so the hero would have a tough time defeating the villain. And you keep thinking, and you come up with something like Dr. Doom or the Vulture. I can't even remember all of our villains.
All right. Animals. All right. Next question.
No more questions. Goodbye. It's been nice.
Fine right there.
All right. Just look up at it and talk.
If
to write anything but comics, what would you write about?
If you were going to write anything other than comic books, what would you write?
Well, probably a television series or a movie. In fact, I'm working on some now, but they're a long way off. But anything that has to do with pictures and words. Like a movie, you see the pictures and you hear the words. I always thought when I was a kid I'd write the great American novel, but I don't think I'd like to write a novel because it's just words, and I'm so used to looking at pictures while the words are there. So it would be anything that had to do with pictures and words.
Good question. Next.
Hi, I was just wondering, how did you come up with the idea of the X-Men?
How did you come up with the idea of the X-Men?
I read that book the guy mentioned. The way it really happened, I had already done a few others, and they were selling well, and my publisher said, come on, dream up a new book for me. So I was thinking, I had run out of ways for characters to get superpowers. Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider. Daredevil, I think there were gamma rays that he was exposed to. No, the Hulk was exposed to gamma rays. And the Fantastic Four had cosmic rays. I had run out of rays. So I finally took the cowardly way out, and I said, wait a minute. What if I have a group of heroes who were just born with that power? Then I wouldn't have to explain anything. They were just born mutants. And that's really the way I thought of the X-Men. So I went running into my publisher, and I said, I got the idea for you. I told him, he liked it, and I said, I'm going to call it The Mutants. He said, that is the worst title I've ever heard. He said, nobody knows. He had great respect for our readers. He said, nobody will know what a mutant is. So he was paying my salary. I had to do what he said. So I thought, I'll dream up another title. And then I thought, well, they have extra power. And I remembered I had created a character called Professor Xavier to be the head of the group. Extra power, Xavier. Just for fun, I said, I'll call them the X-Men. Ran into my publisher, how about the X-Men? Great title. And as I walked out, I thought, if I couldn't figure out how bosses think. If nobody would know what a mutant was, how would anybody know what an X-Men is? But he okayed the title, and I was happy with it, and that's how it happened.
All right, we have time for about 2 or 3 more questions.
No, I got time.
You're the boss. Max is making faces there.
I ain't got time.
Yes, sir.
Who was your favorite artist to work with?
My favorite one?
Do you have a favorite artist to work with?
They were all so good. I probably did more work in the beginning with Jack Kirby than anybody. He was wonderful. And of course, Ditko was wonderful doing Spidey and Doctor Strange. But John Romita was terrific. He could take over any script and make it sensational. He took over Spider-Man when Ditko left. He did a wonderful job. John Buscema was a fantastic artist. Gene Colan, Bob Kane. I mean, I could keep naming them. I was the luckiest guy in the world. Whatever I wrote, they drew it so beautifully that it looked good and I got all the credit.
All right, let's go one more.
Hi, Stan. When Hollywood gets smart and comes calling to do the story of Marvel Comics, who would you like to see cast to play you?
Ooh. When Marvel does when a movie does the story of Marvel Comics on the big screen, who's going to play Stan Lee?
Brad Pitt.
He said Brad Pitt.
Yeah, either Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. No, they're not good looking enough.
He's so modest.
There'll probably be some funny-looking comedian. I have no idea.
What about Bobby De Niro?
Bobby De Niro? Robert De Niro?
He's not bad. I'd settle for anybody.
One more and then we're done, folks. I'm sorry, guys, if you're in line, I apologize. Go ahead, you're it.
I'm a very, very new comic reader. I'm a very big fan of Captain America, and I was wondering what brought about him coming back to the Marvel Universe in Avengers 4.
What caused you to bring Captain America back?
That's a good question. I had all our other characters, and I had always liked Captain America. And I wanted one guy without any powers that were too super. And I remembered that when I was younger, I read Captain America, and I liked him. And I said, but he's dead, how can I bring him back? Then I figured, okay, he was in a plane, it crashed in the north, and it got into a glacier, and he was frozen for 20 or 30 years. So I thought, I'm going to bring him back, but then I had to think of a personality to give him. The only thing I didn't like about him, he never really had a personality. He just fought the bad guys. So I thought, I'll bring him back to life years later, and I'll let him feel as though he's something of an anachronism. Suddenly he's in an age where there are hippies and rock music and protest marches and all the stuff that was going on in the 60s. And he's not used to it, and he doesn't understand it. And I remember there was one line I wrote from where he said, maybe I should have questioned more and battled less. And I wanted to make him an interesting kind of confused guy, but who always tries to do the right thing. And as we started using him, I got to like him more and more. So I put him in the Avengers, and now in the movies, he's like the leader of the Avengers. And it's amazing how that happened, because he had been a character we had forgotten, thinking he's too patriotic, too corny. And now he's become popular, and that probably proves something, and I don't have any idea what it is. Hey, the next time we have one of these, let's make it so that it could be for the whole afternoon. I hate to think there are people with questions that don't get answered.
We'll make it
Let's
happen.
fix the time.
We'll fix the time.
Besides, this is easier than working.
Ladies and gentlemen, St. Louis, I give you Stan Lee. Folks, this is my pleasure.
DJ Killzone Jones, better remember the name. DJ Killzone Jones, better remember the name. DJ